Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. And I got to tell you, man, we've been laughing for the last 10 minutes already. This show could go off the rails fast. I'm Lawrence Presman, my co-host today, the great Andy Lang. And what are we talking about? Well, first we got Brian Power on. He paid to be on the show. I didn't want him, but he paid. So I'm like, okay, fine. He's going to talk White Sox and Guardians and Suns versus Clippers. Nick Borman will join us. He's going to take apart the Masters, an outright winner, and a top 20 bet. Plus, I'll weasel more info out of him. And Kyle Anthony to end the show with some UFC. Andy Lang, thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for stepping in for Teddy. So Teddy texted me this morning. He's like, I'm off to the principal's office. And I called him on the phone, and I'm like, Teddy, you heard yesterday that that terrible shooting in America, and the parents got 10 years each. I'm like, they're going to suspend you. The precedent has been set. You and your wife are going in, and you're both going to be suspended. Teddy's like, yeah, I can deal with that. So I could do a whole show on that judge decision. Most fascinating thing ever. But this is a sports betting show. I'll shut up. Let's bring the wonderful Brian Power. Brian, thank you for transferring me that $1,000, and welcome to the show.
I'll play along, Prez, and just pretend you didn't say nice things about me off air. So, yes, just a nice little gift. I know you don't need it, but any time, Prez, I can spend time with you, obviously, is just a win for yours truly.
Brian, listen, if I was a gay man who liked men that looked exactly like you, I'd be all over you, bro. Like, flat out all over you. But those were a lot of ifs. They were a lot of ifs there.
They sure were a lot of ifs, Prez. I think
Prez has been canceled already. Yeah. I do the show would go off the rails early. Andy, ask him about the White Sox game. I'll shut up.
Brian, we've already covered a lot in the first 4 minutes of the show, so I don't know if you have any polarizing opinions on some events. So let's talk about something a little bit more subdued, and that's the White Sox offense. You've got to play in the White Sox and the Guardians. How are we going to play this one?
Yeah, I think if I come on here, Andy, and say the White Sox offense stinks, I think that's the least controversial thing that's been said, certainly all shows so far, and probably that anyone will hear over the next 30 minutes. So I like the first 5 under today in this AL Central matchup, White Sox and the Guardians down the road from me, up I-77 at Progressive Field. This was 4.5 when I sent it over this morning. It has since come down to 4. Still like the under, though, even at 4 yesterday. Was certainly an outlier performance from this White Sox team. They won 7-5, scored 5 runs in the top of the first. We are talking about a team, guys, a White Sox team that averages only 2.1 runs per game all season. Obviously still a small sample size, but it's a lineup without Robert. Moncada goes down yesterday. So on paper, I don't think you're going to see a worse lineup in Major League Baseball than what the White Sox are trotting out right now. So you got to think we're getting a strong effort from Tanner Bybee. He pitched very well Progressive Field last season, 2.11 ERA, 1.05 whip, 12 starts here. Of course, unders were generally the norm at Progressive Field in 2023, 52, 28, and 1 in all games, average of just 7.9 runs per game scored. A lot of that, of course, has to do with Cleveland's offense not being very good either. They face Eric Fetty here. He is back from KBO. 2 starts, allowed just 3 runs, 9 2/3 innings. I expect a much different game than what we saw last night. Again, playing the first 5 under, not the full game. The one concern I would have with the under, Andy, is the White Sox bullpen. So let's just leave them out of the equation altogether. Under first 5, White Sox Guardians.
Yeah, how often do you do first 5 compared to full games, and what's the decision-making process? Is it simply just the bullpens, or is it starting pitching? What makes the determining factor with whether you go with first 5 or full game?
Well, like a lot of people, it's getting more and more, Andy, than handicap baseball because it's not something I used to do very much, if ever. But yes, because obviously the bullpen variance that you have it's something I take into account. If I am looking at a game, I'm like, wow, I just really like this starting pitching matchup for one side. Then I might just lean to, taking the starting pitcher I like, first 5 money line, first 5 laying and a half. So it's always a case-by-case basis. There's no rule. It's not like, oh, I'm only going to play the first 5 today. I'm going to only look to play the full game. In this particular instance, I just think if you're betting the under on these two teams, the one wild card, like I said, is the White Sox bullpen. So I'd just rather take them out of the equation. 2 subpar offenses, 2 decent starters. I think that's the way to go.
Brian Power joining us, everyone. And Brian, one of our listeners says you sound like Tucker Carlson. Now, he is a polarizing figure. So I'm curious how you take that.
So the Phoenix Suns are playing the LA Clippers in a rematch, Prez.
Well, that was so Teddy of you, Brian.
Yes, there you go. I'll tell you what, 2 years I'm getting to be a professional here. There we go.
Yeah, and the Suns lost 92-105 against this very Clipper team. Line is all over the map, Bri. You got it -3. Fill us in.
Yeah, and it's been bet up since we always like to let you guys know, the producers know what we're going to be talking about. Sometimes lines move in those hours, and this one definitely did. And it doesn't surprise me because the Phoenix Suns last night, gang, turned in one of the most humiliating efforts of the NBA season. They closed as a 9.5-point favorite against the Clippers team that was without Leonard, without Harden, and they fell behind 35-4. That is really, really just unacceptable. No matter who you are, you can't fall behind 35-4. Call me old-fashioned. And it was pretty much all she wrote, although the Suns did get within 7 in the fourth quarter, almost pulled off a huge comeback. But what makes the performance last night so head-scratching by Phoenix, it's not just that Leonard was out, that Harden was out. Phoenix is theoretically trying to avoid the play-in tournament. They should care about that. I don't know how much they do, but theoretically they should just want to be in the top 6. The loss last night leaves them 1 game back in the top 6. Tonight, they get a chance to atone for what they did last night, facing the Clippers again, this time in LA. They are favored. Leonard and Harden, they remain on the injured list for LA. With the number moving the way it has, I think the market thinks that one or both may not play. And I think the key is LA should be even less motivated than they were last night because they have the 4 seed all but wrapped up. I think that if they lose out and Dallas wins out, LA is going to be the 4 seed, which means home court advantage for the first round of the playoffs. Adding a little bit of fuel to the fire here for Phoenix, pun intended, I suppose. 0-3 straight up in ATS this year against the Clippers. They've got to step up. I know Phoenix has been a money burner all year, but at full strength and needing a straight-up victory, I don't mind laying what I think is still a short number against a Clippers team that overperformed last night and has absolutely no reason to care tonight. So Phoenix, I'll lay it in this one.
They sure look like they quit last night. How confident are you that they can just completely flip the switch on a mindset on a back-to-back? Is this something that a team like that? They're getting a great opponent. It's not like the Clippers are dialed in every single night, but what's your take? Body language was terrible. How likely is it that they can just turn it around just overnight?
I guess I'm just looking at it again, theoretically, Andy, and saying these guys are professionals. Like after a performance, like how could you not come out with some fire?
Because you're an NBA basketball player.
Well, certainly that is a counterpoint to that, but I think. You just look at, you were humiliated the night, and all NBA season, Andy knows this, okay? We have seen these teams where players get ruled out a couple hours before the game, and then and the line moves several points, and then that team plays out of its mind and pulls an outright upset. And then they sort of come back down to earth the next time out. So I just think, again, I think it's just very theoretical. I'm looking at Phoenix. They want to finish top 6. If you have any pride in your profession whatsoever, Phoenix, you will come out and play well here. And like I said, they did reduce that deficit from they were down by 37, I think, as much as one point, and they got it down to 7. So I think we could all agree they're not falling behind 35-4 tonight. I think that might be the safest bet on the board for Wednesday, April 10th here on WagerTalk.
Well, there we go. Brian Power. Dude, I love having you on, man. I'm leaving town in an hour, and I wanted to have the first guest of my last show for 3 days to be you. So thank you for kicking ass. What do you got to promote?
Yeah, we have a best bet in the NBA. NBA's been running really well. We've been selective. Obviously, you have to be selective this time of year. You don't always know who's playing. Some teams, as we just discussed, have seemingly given up on the season and just want to play golf here. But 4-1, 80% so far with all NBA in April. Going back to last year's finals, we're hitting 60% with almost all NBA. We're looking for a strong last week.
Nice.
Head into the playoffs where we dominated last season. Playing another team total. I know Andy's going to, I don't want to steal his thunder. I know he's going to talk about a team total from last night that we were, one of the big reasons we were laughing so much. I had the same team total with Portland last night over. Team totals have been a cash cow for me recently. I've out of that 80% run, I'm 3 for 3 with team totals in April. So we've got another one for tonight at my page, wt.buzz/BP.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brian Power. And Andy, we will get to your $2 Tuesday play. I mean, listen, there was insane drama in both the Lang and Presman house last night. And I got you. I didn't start the show very well. So let's start the show again, Andy. Welcome anyway. Yeah, I know. I lose my mind sometimes.
It's not how you start,
Andy,
it's how you finish. We're going to finish strong.
Yes, Andy, I had a 5% play on the Kansas City Royals last night. So let's start with my drama, and then we'll go to yours. I lost my mind. Dude, we're down 3-0. Then we get to 3-3. Then we have a man on the corners, no out, come away with nothing, goes into extra innings, get out of that. And then Prez comes through for me, jumping, screaming like a lunatic. You would think that this was my first rodeo. That's how happy and excited I was. Thank you to everybody who purchased my 5% play last night. It really meant a lot. It always does. But Andy, you had some crazy drama over in your place. Fill us in.
Yeah, this is our What Did Bettors Learn, and there is something to take away. So I was the $2 Tuesday handicapper. I got ahead of it. I submitted the play the night before. Wake up Tuesday morning, nope, we got to change it. I submitted an NHL player prop, supposed to be a total or a side. Right in the nick of time, I find a good play. Trailblazers over 99.5. I have to record tea time in the morning because it's the Masters week. I have to do WagerTalk Today to promote the $2 Tuesday play. I do Game Time with Kelly in Vegas to promote the $2 play. Oh, and by the way, I run a production company that I had to go pick up equipment all day long from parties and festivals from the Eclipse event. Sales are rolling in. Equipment gets picked up. I make all the shows. It's an insanely chaotic day, and the Trailblazers game starts. We're off and running. 27 points in the first quarter. DeAndre Ayton is cooking the Pelicans. 28 points in the second quarter. At halftime, I'm feeling great. We're ahead of pace. Third quarter, you can feel the Pelicans ramp up the defense. Then they lock in, and Portland falls apart. Scoot Henderson is shooting the ball everywhere except in the basket. He's throwing the ball out of bounds. He's traveling. They're throwing it to everybody except their own teammates. And Prez, in the fourth quarter, they scored 10 points in 10 minutes. The play is dead. I send out an apology tweet. I'm sorry, guys. The play is dead. They've only scored 10 points in the 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. And then bang, garbage time. We get a miracle. Portland hits a couple threes. Meaningless free throws. And with 5 seconds left, a guy named Duop Reith makes a layup with 5 seconds left to go over by half a point. We're celebrating in Slack. Johnny and I are texting. I record a celebration video for Twitter. I've just done the ultimate reverse jinx tweet. It was a great night. And guess what happens? You wake up and it's just one play. And I bring this up because it's the Masters week and it's UFC 300 week. It's an exciting week for high-profile events, but too often we forget that the way to build bankrolls is to find the best bets, no matter how high-profile or low-profile the event is. The money stays the same. So this weekend, I know people are going to want to bet big on the Masters, and I know people are going to want to bet big on UFC 300, but just remember, a 3% bet on a high-profile event is the same amount on a low-profile event. search for value, lay off the bet you're not sure of. Don't overexpose your bankroll, because no matter how exciting and chaotic and dramatic a bet can be in the moment, the next day it's just one bet and we move on. And that was
Well
what
said.
I learned last night.
Well said, Andy. Any chance we could see the celebration dance?
It was out in the streets about midnight, and
Out in
I
the
don't think I have
street?
video. Yeah, well, my wife was asleep. I'm not going to be yelling and screaming like out here, so I go outside and do the celebration dance on the boulevard. So,
Okay, fair enough. So, a couple of things. Firstly, Eric DeLong wrote that he watched Warrior, the Tom Hardy movie with Joel Edgerton, Tom Hardy, Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte blazed down a monster performance in that movie. And he said it was amazing. So, guys, if you have not watched that movie, I don't think I can recommend a movie higher than that. I mean, I don't think it's the greatest movie of all time, but I think it's right up there. That's how much I love that movie. So if you haven't seen Warrior, please check that out. Also, I'm off to play at the WSOP circuit event in Montreal. I leave in a few hours. I'm driving there. If anybody's there, DM me on Twitter. I'd love to hook up. But the good news, Andy, is whenever I go away, I kill it in betting. Like, and there's no rhyme or reason. Maybe maybe there's less pressure because I don't have to face people the next day on air. Maybe it's because I'm sitting at the tables, bored out of my mind half the time and doing double, triple, quadruple the research. Whatever the case may be, every time I go on a trip, I destroy it in betting. And guys, look, I'm going to give out 2 promos, and we're going to bring Nick Borman on. The first one expires tonight, and that is Eclipse 69. You get 7 days of all my plays for $69. That is a steal, and especially given that I'm going away, which we all know what that means, is going to be nothing but winners. But for my NHL customers, you guys have had a monster season with me. Yesterday, I went down the board, top to bottom. I had some wrong, but man, I gave out Tampa Bay -2.5, cha-ching. I gave out Boston, Carolina under, cha-ching. I gave out so many winners yesterday. Florida in regulation, Seattle. I know hockey like, I'm not going to go there, but I know hockey really, really well. And we did put up a promo for everybody, $188. I don't know why that number was chosen, but it was $188 till the end of the playoffs. Please take advantage of that. Like, why are you buying my hockey plays for $25 a day when you can buy 7 days times 25 and get the entire season till the end? It's like mid-June. So please take advantage of that. $188, no coupon code required. You find it at my website. I will never wear this shirt again. It looks haggard. I'm going to come back next week, Andy, and I'm going to start dressing better. I'm going to put on button-down shirts. So this will be the last time you see me like this. Nick Borman! You excited, bro?
I guess. What are we talking about? Is it like a big week in golf or something like that? I don't.
Yeah, man. It's the Masters.
Oh. Of course I am. This is Andy and I's favorite week of the year. It's Masters. It's Mecca. It's golf. It's everything. I know you're going to be watching, Prez. You're not going to miss.
Why is the Masters the number? Why is it the number one tournament? Aren't all 4 equal?
Because
wouldn't the Open? Wouldn't the British Open claim to be number one?
Well, to the across the pond folk, sure. But the Masters, you even they asked this question during the player interviews, at live from the Masters. You could watch that all week, and even they say it's just different. They told John Rahm before winning it, it'll be different. He said it's true. It's just different. You're invited back to the tournament for the rest of your life. That doesn't happen at the other events. You get to host the Champions Dinner the following year with only previous champions. That doesn't happen at the other events. There's just a lot of little things that are different, and the allure of the place.
Dude,
Augusta National,
if I won the Masters,
the hardest place in the world to get to, right? Nobody
If
can
I
get
won
there.
the Masters and I was hosting that dinner, I would pick the worst. I would be like, we're eating oatmeal, 3 different kinds. That's it's oatmeal, but it is vegan oatmeal for tonight's dinner. See what
Why would you
everyone
do that?
says about that. What?
So why would you do that? That sounds awful.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
I think
Awful.
because I'm always trying to annoy. Have you not figured that out?
Fair.
Nick, I
That's
made
fair.
a bet. I bet Scotty Scheffler, call me square, plus 400 to win or be within the top 5. So obviously
Okay.
the amount of money I will receive will be different depending on where he ends. But man, I know you're going to get on here and tell us someone else is going to win. But I mean, Scotty Scheffler is playing out of his mind right now, and he hasn't even been healthy.
I can't tell you Scotty Scheffler's not going to win. Of course, I think he's going to win. When it comes to Andy and I, our job is to try to find some value in some of the numbers and maybe spread that love around a little bit. Because listen, 3 tournaments in a row, only one dude has beat the guy, right? So first, and second, his last 3, it's very hard to look elsewhere on Scotty. But that's our job. We're going to try. We're going to try to show some other options.
So listen, I don't want Will Zalatoris. He cut his hair. He looks normal. He's plus 4,500 to win. And obviously we're sitting here and saying, okay, he's not a shoe-in to win. But clearly there's a ton of value there. So tell us about that bet.
Well, the first thing that I love about Will Zalatoris is, you look back at it's kind of his potential, right? Will Zalatoris was right there. When he came on the scene, he was in the majors, in the thick of it, right off the get-go. In fact, the first 2 years that he played here, he was runner-up, which is, extremely rare to debut a runner-up at the Masters, let alone just even in the top 10 or top 20. And then he followed that up with a tie for 6 in 2022. So in the 2 starts he's had, they're both, he's been finished no worse than tie for 6. Last year, unfortunately, he withdrew right before the tournament. He had back issues, and then he was basically out for the rest of the season. So that's the risk. That's why we're seeing the number where it is. He was 20-1, under 20-1 to win in 2022 based on his performances. And again, he has that potential. He was, and I think he still is, one of the best ball strikers on the tour. And if you look at some of the data that past Masters champions have shown, the last 14, so 14 of the last 14 have ranked inside the top 30 in strokes gained tee to green. That just tells you they're hitting the ball well. Obviously makes sense. But weirdly enough, Andy and I touched on this on our Tee Time show, is 14 of the last 16 winners have ranked outside the top 50 in strokes gained putting. That's just a weird thing to say out loud when you're like, well, all that really matters is you got to get the ball in the hole. So the first person that comes to mind when you talk about a ball striker that can't putt, you already named him. That's Scotty. The second guy that comes to mind, at least for me, is Will Zalatoris. And again, coming off the injury, he's now got a couple months of reps in. He started playing right at the beginning of the season. He wasn't good right away. Needed to knock off some rust. But then he started showing some signs. He had this a tie for 4th at the Arnold Palmer, and he had a tie for 2nd at the Genesis Invitational. Already so far this season, and it was kind of like a run-up where the first couple starts were not so good in Hawaii, and then it's gotten better and better and better. The last 2 starts, a little bit alarming. He had a tie for 74th at the Houston Open. He missed a cut at the Players, but his potential is there clearly, as shown in the other 2 big events that he's had. And again, his comfort level at Augusta seems to be there. And I talked about normally his putter is not good. In fact, it's one of the ugliest putting strokes you're going to watch. But here, it's only a small sample. It's only 8 rounds, but he's gained an average of plus 1.4 strokes gained per round putting at Augusta. So for whatever reason, he's comfortable on the greens. He knows them enough where he's putting pretty well. If he can just do that again, I think his ball striking will keep him in the mix long enough to give us a chance on Sunday. And at 45-1, all you're looking for is, we call it the Sunday sweat, somebody that's within a few shots of the lead, and you got skin in the game. So that's what we're hoping for out of Zalatoris this week.
Yeah, I love Will Zalatoris. I mean, like you said, if we're talking about potential, he's easily within the top 7 guys that are playing this week. If he puts it all together, he's absolutely going to be there. Nick and I, we have our Tea Time video. It's up on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We go in depth on a ton of plays, DraftKings, outright winners, finishing positions. We give you some players that can trip you up. We go over the course. We go over total strokes gained. So make sure you check that out, everything to get you ready for turning a profit at the Masters. Speaking of turning a profit, there's a guy who's just, it's majors. He always comes around. And this he's perfectly fine with playing in wind and maybe a little bit of rain on Thursday. And we're getting beautiful plus 150. Who do you like in the top 20?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with Shane Lowry, the Irishman, Open champion, clearly from Ireland, knows how to play in the elements, as you mentioned, and that's what a lot of European guys kind of have over the Americans, is that ability to play in the crappiest of weather. And the wind is going to be a factor on Thursday and Friday. The rains, it's hard to figure that out, exact timing and when people may or may not get pulled off the course. But the wind seems like it's going to be pretty steady those first 2 days. So Lowry can play in the wind. Aside from that, he's a guy that plays rather consistently. He's only missed 4 cuts in his last 27 starts, yet he doesn't really find himself in true contention all that often either. He did have a couple really high finishes in the Florida swing. What was it, 4th at the Cognizant, 3rd at the Arnold Palmer. But aside from those 2 top 10s, he only had 1 other top 10 for a total of 3 top 10s, Andy. This is kind of surprising. He only had 3 top 10s dating back to last year's Florida swing at the Honda Classic. So why are we looking at him here? Well, the next kind of wave, the top 20, that's where he seems to fall all the time. He finds himself right in that mix. He's actually finished inside the top 20 in 11 of his last 19 starts. So again, he's not really in that true contention category, but he's playing well enough. He's making the weekend. He's in that second page, and he's been good at the majors too. He's got in his last 13 major starts. So that's obviously here, the Open, PGA, and U.S. Open. He's got 10 top 25 finishes in 13 starts. I know we're betting top 20, but it just shows he's right there. So 10 out of the last 13 is very, very solid. 4 straight top 25s here at Augusta National. Knows the place, plays well, shows up when it's big, doesn't get disturbed by the elements. There's a lot of good things for Lowry this week, and he's plus 150 for that top 20.
Nick Borman joining us, everyone. And Nick, as I said at the top of the show, I did bet Scotty top 5 finish. And I made another bet. And I'm curious what you think about this. Wyndham Clark, the guy's playing out of his mind. Since he got the sports psychologist, everything has changed for him. Yep. He's plus 2,800 top 5. I've already bet that. You and Andy, thoughts on Wyndham Clark and why we should or shouldn't make that bet?
I'll start, and Andy can probably echo what I'm going to say. I think we both like Wyndham Clark. We both agree he's playing very, very well. The biggest thing about Augusta National is the experience, right? And this is somehow for a world number 4, his first time here, and that matters at Augusta National. I'm not saying he can't come out here and have a good finish. He's not going to win. Let's just put that out there just because of that factor. But we've seen guys. I mentioned Will Zalatoris in his debut had a runner-up. Sahith Theegala last year was tied for 9th. So you can play well. And I don't think Wyndham Clark won't play well. You said top 5. I'd feel a little better. I don't even know the price, but I'd feel a little better in the top 10 or top 20. It's just that experience to know exactly where you can't be on this golf course really does matter at Augusta, because you just miss by a couple feet one direction or the other, and you're staring double bogey in the face all of a sudden, when really you shouldn't have been aiming anywhere near where that ball ended up. So I don't know for that reason, but I do like Wyndham in general, and he has shown that recently. He shows up in these biggest events, so I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, Prez. But personally, I stayed away from him because he didn't have the experience for me.
Andy.
It's the one course that I worry about guys playing for the first time. Like literally the only course that these guys play, I worry about it. You just go back and you look at the big names and they all struggle their first time. There's a few outliers, but for the most part, these big name guys, Scheffler, Rory, Schauffele, Matsuyama, these guys, they struggle to break into the top 10 on their first time playing. just knowing the wind off of a certain hole, knowing that, on Thursday I need to hit it in the left front part of the green, and then on Friday the right back, knowing, I can't miss this one left. It's so tough. It's the one course I do not play on guys playing their first time here.
So the caddy has never walked this course, studied this course. I mean, I assume that the caddy is going to tell him not to hit the ball over there or over there. I don't know if that is as important as you guys think, but I will say this. Nick's a scratch golfer, so I'll shut up. And Andy lives, eats, and breathes this stuff. So one last thing, Andy, FB coach, one of our listeners, he sprinkled a little something on, Rory. This course is in Rory's mind. I mean, last year he didn't even make the cut. I got a hard time believing that Rory is going to step. He has come into the final day well ahead, and then I think he shot a quadruple bogey, which is otherwise known as a lang. There's no value here betting Rory at plus 1,100 to win this tournament, is there?
Nick, what do you think?
I personally don't think so. I think there's better options on the board for his price. If he was in closer to the 18 to 21 range, I would say absolutely. But listen, this is now his 10th try to complete the career Grand Slam. I feel like if it hasn't happened already, there's just something here it's just keeping him from getting there. And it's in his head at this point, and that is hard to overcome. I'm not saying he won't. Nobody will be surprised if Rory wins, let's be honest. But for me, it's hard to bet on him this week. His number's a little too short, and he hasn't. I feel like it's going to be that side that's thorn in the side forever. So no, I'm not.
Is Tiger making the cut? Sorry, Andy.
No, Tiger's not making the cut. I think he got a bad tee time. He's hurt. His best friend, his best friend Nona McGay just came out and said he has zero mobility in his ankle. Normally, he likes to get a Thursday morning tee time so he can play in the morning, then rest, and he doesn't play till Friday afternoon. Well, he got a Thursday afternoon tee time. He's going to have to play around in bad conditions in one of the hilliest, maybe the hilliest golf course that they're going to play, and then he has to turn around and try and do it again on Friday morning. The last time we saw him, he withdrew, he said because of illness, but make no mistake, his back was killing him. I don't think he makes the cut.
What a wonderful segment.
Prez. Yep. Prez, I just want to add, while that's true, he's never missed the cut as a professional at Augusta National. So you're going to either bet, it's like your head versus your heart. The head probably should win here, but my heart says I want to see him. I don't know.
Okay, boys, that was a great segment. Guys, check out Tea Time. It really, I watched it last night, and it was phenomenal. I mean, listen, firstly, I enjoy listening to you guys. So, great show. Nick, what do you got to promote for everybody? And I know you've had an outstanding golf season so far.
Yeah, right now, Andy and I are doing a BOGO, buy one, get one promo for this week's Masters, $39. Gets both of us for the entire 4 days. We each have a 5% play, so that alone is going to give you great, great value. Or you can do 30 days. Get both of us as well there for $99, and that's the next 30 days, obviously. It'll get you through the second major of the year, which is the PGA Championship. And we each attack these a little differently. I tend to go towards outright or top finishes. Andy will look more towards the props and into the tournament or daily matchups. So you get a little bit of skin in all the different markets that golf offers, which is nice. So definitely great deal for both Andy and I this week.
Good luck, my friend, and get your ass to Toronto. I need some golf lessons, and I need them bad. I'm at 18 now, Andy, and I still do every now and again. I do a lang.
Yeah. I've had a lot of those over the years. You just pick up your ball, move on to like we said, it's just one hole. Move on to the next one. Get it out of your head. So yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Andy, real quick, shout out to Justin. Just grabbed my 7-day all access. Used that promo code Eclipse69. And shout out to Jorge, who did purchase my NHL 30 season package for $188. You guys are in for a nice run. Much appreciated. Andy, your big game breakdown, and then Kyle frickin' Anthony.
Yeah, I think you're in 100% agreement with this. I want to talk about the matchup of Scotty Scheffler versus Rory McIlroy, but it's all about the price, minus 175. Is this worth it? Well, here are the numbers. Scotty Scheffler,
Yes.
number 1 player in the world, number 1 strokes gained this season on PGA Tour. Rory McIlroy on the PGA Tour, he's not even in the top 10 in total strokes gained this season. Scheffler has beat him head-to-head the last 3 years at the Masters. Rory has missed the cut in 2 out of the last 3 years. How has head-to-heads been this season? Scotty has torched him. The last 2 events they've played in, Scotty Scheffler has won, and Rory McIlroy finished 21st and 19th. Those were in strong fields at elevated events. Scheffler's weak spot has been his putting. He just moved to a mallet putter, and now all of a sudden he's the 13th best putter on tour. Scheffler has no weaknesses in his game. Rory can struggle with just about anything, putting, mental mistakes, wedge shots. Is the minus 175 worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. Absolutely, it's worth it. This has hit all season long, Prez. I have even played this at minus 200 in the last event, and Scotty Scheffler won outright. Rory wasn't even close. Minus 175 may sound like a huge price. It's a deal. You're taking Scotty Scheffler over Rory McIlroy.
Brother, I think that's the best bet on the board.
It's pretty good.
Something's wrong with Rory, and I'm okay with that because I'm no Rory fanatic here. I don't understand why everybody cheers like crazy for Rory. Yeah, he was just a whiny little bi when Rory needs, you know what would get me back on the Rory bandwagon? If he came out at a press conference and said, I'd like to thank all the players who left the PGA Tour to go to LIV. We finally are getting paid more than 26% of total revenue. We finally are not the second lowest professional sports league in the world behind tennis as far as revenue share goes. Those guys made it happen. Hats off to them. Thank you for raising our purses. When he does that, I will become a Rory fan again. Until then, he's a whiny little suck ass. Kyle, how are you, my brother?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's been one heck of a segment here.
Well, listen.
Oh,
dude,
yes,
now
it
we're
has,
gonna
Kyle. Yes, it has.
Oh man, but hey, UFC 300, I'm ready to roll, man. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like the world's biggest card to me. I don't know. That's just me. But
I think it may be just you. I think it's a possible. What was the last real event you watched? Like, what was the last one you watched?
Oh, real UFC event?
Yeah, I mean that answer alone already kind of takes you out of even having a vote.
Dude, I quit on it. Like, and you know me, Kyle. Kyle, I've been a big UFC guy. I mean, I was like a Tank Abbott fanatic. I shared an elevator ride with Shamrock after I went to the fight, the Shamrock Ortiz fight. I get into the elevator and he hops in. His face was a mess. I know I'm a huge I used to be a competitive fighter. It's too much now. I don't know. I love Gaethje though. He's my favorite fighter, and we are going to talk about him after. Right off the bat, dude, where is John Jones going from here? Is this it for this guy?
I mean, listen, he's right now, they were trying to give him a drug test. I think he was fleeing and not wanting to take the drug test or something, and all these crazy things.
From the lady, threatened her life.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I'd rather see Ngannou back in here, to be honest with you. But or
Yes.
I think it should be Tom Aspinall getting his shot because Jones wants no smoke with him. Jones does not want. Jones wants that retirement fight with Grandpa Stipe and then ride into the sunset. That's it. He doesn't want the young buck. He does not want it. And I agree with him. You know, he's the GOAT. He can kind of do what he wants.
Yeah. What guys, if you want to read a masterclass on how to screw up your brand in 5 minutes, check out the John Jones story. Okay, brother. So I'm a big Justin G fan. He's fighting Max Holloway. I think he's going to kick his ass. So, but then again, what do I know? How do we bet this fight?
Yeah, so right now there actually is, it's been a lot of money actually coming in on Max Holloway here. The number has tightened. You've got Justin Gaethje around minus 165 on the comeback, plus 140 for Max. This is for the BMF title. We're going to have 5 rounds. Justin Gaethje, big power, those leg kicks we all know about. And then Max Holloway on the other side, just fantastic pressure and also volume and high-level striking. Now, this is the second time that Max Holloway has moved up to 155 pounds. Last time that he did that was back in 2019, actually, I think it was, where he fought Dustin Poirier. Now, this was just a bad showing for him where you kind of saw the power difference was massive. Now, I know that everyone's going to be talking about this fight as a fight of reference. Some people think it's too much to be said because it was years ago and all those things. But for me, it was just such a power difference, even though Max landed 181 strikes to 178 strikes. It was just the damage was different. The power was different. How Max was absorbing shots was different. While Poirier could kind of walk through those punches. He dropped Max. He rocked him multiple times. It was just, it was a 49-46 decision, and rightfully so. But that's kind of how I see this fight kind of going here, because you've got Gaethje, who is going to probably have more power than Dustin Poirier. He's a big 155er, and that's the other part of this, is that Max is trying to gain the weight and gain the size and muscle to kind of fit into this division. And that's been his thing. He's kind of a tweener. He kind of, a little bit big for the 145, a little too small for 155. And that's kind of how this could go. But you also look at it is, does this added weight at this point in his life, does it kind of take away the things that made Max great? His movement, his really just the output that he has. Is it going to make him slower? Will he have the cardio? All those things start to make a little bit of could make you worried, which I agree why Gaethje is the favorite here. And then also you look at it is just the damage. I think he's going to land big damage here, Gaethje. I think he's going to land the bigger shots, the more powerful shots. And also, he's still got that power. Dustin Poirier is a guy who's only been knocked out 3 times in his professional career. Justin Gaethje just did that recently. Before that, it was Michael Johnson in 2016, was it McGregor in 2014? I mean, these are way far back. I think this is a spot where Gaethje gets that knockout, hammers on those front legs. I like him. He's plus 155. Gaethje via knockout. I think that's the side, and I agree with the Prez. I think he gets the job done.
Yeah, his power, Gaethje, got the volume and pressure of Holloway. Let's talk about this next fight. 2 guys where I'm sure you're going to address these injuries here. We've got Yuri Prochazka and Alexander Rakic. Not little injuries. These are massive injuries. At least Prochazka has a fight under his belt, so it's coming back. What do you like in this fight?
Yeah, so here you got 2, high-level strikers. Both of these guys versatile on the feet, got good kicks, got good movement. But the one thing when you're looking at this fight that really makes it difficult for anybody who's fighting Yuri Prochazka is his awkward movement and his awkward, unorthodox style. I mean, it's very hard to prepare for a guy like this. Just his movement, his angles, his footwork, the angles he throws his combinations, very, very odd. And again, very difficult. Why a lot of people look out of rhythm, look like they can't get into rhythm with him. The other part of this is the fact that Rakic definitely has a low volume output. Now, he's got powerful strikes. There's no doubt about it that he can start smashing that front leg of Yuri Prochazka. You saw that work for Alex Pereira. I think that's something he's going to try to do, but he's been very low volume overall, and I think that can hurt him in this spot. Now, stylistically speaking, when you look at it, there's definitely a vulnerability here on the Rakic side, and it's absolutely going to be pressure. This guy is a technical striker. He's good on the outside. He's also that low volume. And there's no doubt that Yuri Prohaska thrives in pressure. This guy's going to come forward. He's going to bring the brawl. He's going to look to cut the distance. And that aggressive forward pressure, I think, really starts to melt certain things that make Rakic very, very good. And then also the fact that, you just kind of blend in the style, which is, I think, going to be very, very difficult for Rakic to kind of get around. And then you add in the actual pressure part of it, too. But then the last part, as Andy just said, the injury. This is a massive injury for Rakic. Yes, Prohaska has come back. At least he's back. Like you said, a fight under his belt, that does help him. But when you're also looking at it, too, is that Rakic blew his knee out 2 years ago against Jan Blachowicz, and this was not a good look at all for him. Now it talks about how is his recovery? Has he been training? That's a long ring rust layoff here. So in this spot here, I think this is the toughest fighter that Rakic has had to face by far. I think that the style's tough. I do like here Yuri Prohaska to get the job done. Plus 105 roughly is around right now. I think that's a good number, and I think he walks away with the victory.
All right, Kyle, it's a huge card. We texted last night. Let's do 10-second rapid fire. I think this could be fight of the night. Wiley, Zhang, and Jan. Who do you think takes this one?
I think this is absolutely going to be one-sided. I think that Weili can do what she wants. You did see Carla Esparza get the takedowns, and maul her on the ground. That is her path. Inside the distance is minus 115. I think that's a great number.
Diego Lopez and Youssef. I love Lopez in this matchup. Who do you like?
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. Youssef, he can crack. He is live for that first knockout and the ability to get that finish. But Lopez is a guy that actually has good striking, and Youssef has been taken down by guys like Edson Barbosa. I think the striking will be there. I like Lopez to get the job done, and I think the price isn't too bad either.
Davison Figueiredo, up a weight class, looked good in his first one, and then the complete non-chin of Cody Garbrandt. Who you like?
Yeah, death taxes and Cody Garbrandt's chin not holding up. I think this is a spot where you got to go that way. I mean, honestly, it's another spot. I think inside the distance is there. Cody is a shell of himself. Even the fight that he won against Trevin Jones, 3-round fight, he landed 26 strikes. Pretty bad. He's trying to lay on guys. I think that Figueiredo can do whatever he wants, to be honest with you. I like inside the distance. That's minus 110. I like the price there also.
Last one, maybe the most polarizing fight on the card, Cody Brundage versus Bo Nickel. You can get this at minus 2,500 on Bo Nickel. How you playing it?
I mean, what is Bo Nickel and Cody Brundage doing on the main card? But minus 3,000, one of the biggest numbers I think in the sport has ever happened there. I do see people sprinkling the Brundage, plus 1,000 spot. But if anything, I think this could be a knockout here for Bo Nickel. I don't think he's going to be looking to wrestle too much. Brundage does have decent wrestling, and he makes horrible decisions everywhere. I think the knockout's live. Plus 145 for Bo Nickel via knockout, I think, is a good spot.
Yeah, and I got one quick one, and I guess maybe it's for Andy because I watched his Twitter posts this past week. When the bloodline splits and Roman Reigns fights The Rock, where are you going with this one, Andy?
I don't think you're going to see The Rock in the ring for a long, long time, and I think Roman Reigns is going to take a much-needed break off of carrying the company for the last 4 years. It's Cody Rhodes' time to shine, and I thought WrestleMania was a great way to move on from the dark cloud of Vince McMahon hanging over the head. Kudos to the job they did on Sunday.
Andy, I'm reading the Vince McMahon biography, so obviously he didn't write it, and yes, it's a hatchet job, but man, it's a great read, Andy.
Times. It's an entertaining read, I will give you that. It's just some dark things. It's
just before
you need to take a shower.
Gets a couple chapters.
You got to take a shower after reading that book. I mean, it's bad, man.
Listen, I've always been a huge fan of wrestling. Especially way back, and Johnny Detroit is as well, especially way back when they had all the territories and how it all worked and the politics of it all. It's really a great read. I mean, I know a lot of you guys don't read books anymore. That's a thing of the past, but amazing read. Andy Lang, what a great show, brother. We were not even close to 100 likes, so I guess the listeners don't agree. Guys, I'm doing a penalty box segment. My NHL picks will be there. I will be doing the penalty box segment every single day while I'm away, so please check that out. Lots of love. Take advantage of that $188 package for my NHL. Andy, you're the best, man. I really enjoyed the show. Take us home.
Yeah, all plays can be found at WagerTalk.com. We have 5% plays up in golf for the Masters. Myself and Nick Mormon do. We have a 5% play up at UFC 300. Myself and Kyle Anthony do as well.
Oh, wait.
Take advantage of all of those. Yes.
We forgot to ask Kyle to promote, so let me do it for him because he deserves it. He's won 4 and 5% plays in a row. He has cashed 10 out of his last 11 events. He is so good at UFC handicapping. It's ridiculous. He's got a 5% play up this week for this card. I apologize to Kyle. We just ran late because I didn't shut up. Now you're
good, brother. You're good. I will also say this has been a very difficult year for a lot of UFC handicappers out in the Twitter space, and Kyle is absolutely running roughshod over the book. So make sure you grab that 5% play. We will be live for all your live Masters questions on a live episode of Tea Time at 4:30 Eastern Time. Good luck on all your plays. Remember, don't overexpose yourself with too many units this weekend. And as always, good luck, and let's do some damage.